What's up, everyone? It says only one person watching right now. Probably hasn't caught up yet. What's up, John, Jordan? Good to see everyone. Jay, Carrie, what's happening? This is a topic I get asked about, and I think about for myself. The idea of breaking out of your stock, as we used to call them, grips. I mean, I think every guitar player uses the term grips. Good to see everyone. So I have a few principles that I like to follow as far as breaking out of these old habits. It's really a thing. Guitar is really particular in that way. I think every chording instrument has grips. They just do. It's kind of I think it's inherent in particular chording instruments. Peter, you're still up? I can't believe it. This is for you. Peter Smart, everyone. Okay, Peter, I'm going to make it fun. I won't make it long either here. I'll get to the point. So I was thinking about it, and you know, when you learn particular voicings, most people that learn jazz guitar voicings end up playing the same drop 2, drop 3 voicings that all the time, really. They'll play things like minor 2-5-1s, 2-5-1s, but they'll play really particular. I mean, how many times have you played this for a 2-5-1? That'd be a 2-5-1 in the key of, let me turn this down a little bit here. That'd be 2-5-1 in the key of D. So I'm playing E minor 9 to A13 to D major 7. Or a minor 2-5-1. E minor 7 flat 5, A7 sharp 5, D minor 7. So it's really difficult to drop out of, to kind of break out of these things. The first thing I like to tell people to do is just take one chord. I just turned it down a little bit here. I knew the sound was distorted, I could tell. Is to take one of the chords and swap it out. I call it chord swapping, basically. So if I'm doing a 2-5-1, a minor 2-5-1 in D minor, I'll take one chord. Let's say we'll start with the first chord. We'll take this the E minor 7 flat 5. How's the sound on that? That sounds better, right? Let's see here. That's better. So take that chord. I'm going to swap it out for a different chord. And I'm going to play an E minor 9 flat 5. So all I've done here, instead of playing this chord, your standard E minor 7 flat 5, I put the natural 9 in it, which really gives it a cool sound. And then I can go back to my regular grips. Okay? And then the second time through, I'll go, it shouldn't be distorted. Is that actually distorted? That's not distorted, is it? Hold on, I'll turn it down more. My voice is clean, but my guitar is clipping. There is no snare drum nearby. That's better, Joe? I trust Joe. I turned down the guitar. Okay, so my first voicing here, I've swapped out the E minor 7 flat 5 for an E minor 9 flat 5, A7 sharp 5, D minor 7. Now on the second chord, this time I'm going to swap the second chord out. I mean, I don't have a super crystal clear sound here. Here, how's that? Is that better? So gent, clipping a little bit, little break up in the bass end. So on the second chord, I'll just play it on acoustic. Just go with it. Use a compressor. Ay, here we go again. Mic is too close. Okay. P90s are powerful. The guitar is bell clean right now. Okay, so the second chord I'm going to swap out this time. And I'm going to make it an E flat major over A flat 7 here. Or I'm sorry, E flat major over A. Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. How's this? If you tell me it's distorted, then I know that you're not telling the truth. Okay. So, now I'm going to swap out the second chord. I'll do it again. E minor 7 flat 5 to E flat major over A. So that gives you a dominant 7 flat 9 flat 5 sound. Going to D minor 7 again. Okay? So then the third chord I'm going to swap out this time. So the first two I'm going to keep the same. 2, 5, 1. Now that's pretty standard, that chord. You typically, that would be a chord that you would probably play anyways as your one chord. So I'll swap that out with one that I'm not used to playing. 2, 5, to a D minor 9 voicing there. Okay, so this would be D, F, B, E. Okay, that is not quite as typical of a grip as you would play. Okay, now the next time I'm going to swap out two chords. Okay, so I'm going to swap out the first two chords. I'm going to use this one, E minor 9 flat 5, and then I'm going to go to this. This is a B flat sus 4 over A. Okay, that comes from the A altered scale. Kind of a tough grip. And then I'm going to go to my one chord. Okay, so I've swapped out the first two chords. All right? So, 2, 5, 1. Oh, I went somewhere different that time. Okay? So I swapped out all three. So the next thing I like to try and do is say, okay, well, can I play in other positions? Can I play different inversions, for example? So if you take this same progression and you go through the inversions, let's say I swap out, instead of playing this E minor 7 flat 5 here, I play a G minor 6 chord, which is a substitution. If you look at the chord, it's got all the same notes as E minor 7 flat 5. It's basically an inversion of it. So I have that, I have this, then 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 I have this. So these are all inversions of E minor 7 flat 5. Each of them can go to a different place, like this. I could actually go to the dominant 7 flat 9 substitute diminished chord. Okay, what do I mean by that? I mean that if I'm playing an A7 chord and I substitute a diminished 7th chord a half step above the root, it gives me an A7 flat 9 chord. So anytime you have a dominant chord, if you go up a half step and play the diminished 7th chord, those are giving you all the notes of a dominant 7 flat 9 minus the root. So this is an A7 flat 9. So it's got the 3rd, 5th, flat 7, and flat 9 of an A7 flat 9 chord. But if I do it here, that would be the same as going. Okay? If I go here to this voicing of E minor 7 flat 5 with the 7th in the root, the flat 7, and I simply drop down, you can see there, if I put an A in the bass, that gives me, once again, that's the same thing. It's just the next inversion. Since diminished 7th chords are symmetrical, they repeat every 4 frets. So this chord is A7 flat 9, this chord is A7 flat 9, this chord is A7 flat 9, and so forth. So even though the root is changing in those, really, it's really B flat, 7 flat, B flat diminished 7, C sharp diminished 7, E diminished 7th, G diminished 7th, back to B flat. But those are just the same notes recycled around. Okay, so there's my 2 chord, there's my 5 chord, there's my 1 chord. Okay, so I used an F major 13 as a sub for D minor 7. Okay, because I have the 3rd, I have the 9th, I have the 5th, and the root of a D minor 7 chord. It's really like a D minor 9 in inversion. Okay, so then here, I mean, what I'd first do is probably just practice. So those are all of your half diminished to diminished voicings using all the inversions of E minor 7 flat 5. So right there, just by doing that, if I take a voicing like this and I do 2, 5, 1, okay, this would be an inverted D minor 9 chord there. So I did D minor 9 over C, okay? That's the kind of voicing you'd use as a passing. Okay. So those are using diminished substitution. So right there, I'm thinking differently. So if I was playing something like Stella by Starlight, and I am coming to the last 8 bars, which is those are all the stock voicings that you would play. So using this concept, if I just did 2, 5, and then I went to, okay, so I'm doing inversions. I'm doing the same concept on the D minor 7 flat 5 to G7. But let's just stick with the minor 2 5 1 in D minor. So the next thing to do, after you've gone through and taken all the inversions here, then you say, okay, well, how can I take this one inversion and go to a different 5 chord? So I'm keeping the common tone. So this is a G minor 6 as a sub for E minor 7 flat 5, right? And then, so I have my line. You'll want to always be thinking about voice leading when you're doing these things. So 2, there's my minor 2 in D minor. It's E minor 7 flat 5 in inversion. Dominant 7 flat 9 flat 5, and then D minor 6 9. So that instead of playing, you're playing. Sounds way more interesting. Okay. I could then actually play a sub of the A7 chord, do an inversion of that. So instead of playing it like this, I can say, okay, well, let's see, what key am I coming from? Okay, so if I'm coming from A altered dominant, it's coming from B flat melodic minor. So I can start thinking of all the chords in B flat melodic minor. And I say, okay, for example, G minor 7 flat 5 would be from the 6th mode, the Locrian natural 2. Okay, so there's my sound. Anytime you have an altered dominant chord, you can take the half diminished chord a whole step below the root and play it, and it will give you the different tension notes. You have the flat 7, sharp 5, flat 9, and the major third there. Okay, so G minor 7, flat 5 is a sub for A7 sharp 5. Okay, so I can go 2, 5, 1. I can use F major 7 as a substitute for D minor 7. Right? It's basically a D minor 9. Okay, there's my D minor 9 sound. Okay, 2, 5, 1. As opposed to... Okay, so that's a way to get out of these grips. Okay, this is just using... I'm using inversions now of other chords in the scale. And I've replaced all 3 chords. Okay? Another thing you can do is say, okay, well, what about some other chords that are from this scale? If I use the Locrian natural 2 from here, that would be from G melodic minor. Okay, E Locrian natural 2 is from G melodic minor. So any of the chords in there could be a sub. So let's say I take this note B flat, which is the flat 5 of the E minor 7 flat 5 chord, and I play this. I play a B flat major 7 sharp 5, a Lydian augmented chord. 2, 5, 1. Okay, so I just substituted, instead of playing, which everybody's heard you play a million times, I just went, and I have a nice chromatic voice leading there. Okay? So we also know that G minor, that G minor 7 flat 5 is a sub for A7. Well, one of the reasons it's a sub is because it comes from B flat melodic minor. Well, there's other chords that come from B flat melodic minor that work as great subs for A7. For example, you could play B flat minor major 7 as a sub for. It's got the flat 9 in the root, so flat 9 root 3rd sharp 5 of an A7 chord, right? So I could go 2, 5, 1. Okay, so that would be, I'm just swapping out the middle chord of that progression with another chord from the A alter dominant scale, okay, or from B flat melodic minor. I could do this too. I could go B flat Lydian augmented, which is a sub for this chord, right, which is from G melodic minor. Then I could go up a minor 3rd and play to C sharp major 7 sharp 5 to my 1 chord. So 2, 5, 1. Now that has great voice leading too. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking the 2 melodic minor scales that belong to the 2 chord and the 5 chord. I'm using another chord from those particular scales, and I'm substituting them. All right, so these are actually really simple concepts, but they sound complex. So this is for, do I ever use this in a musical context? Of course. This is like if you're comping. Let's say you're playing a bossa nova, right? Instead of playing, you play, or, so I'm just using voice leading. I did that. The first time. I think I did. I can't remember now what I did. I did this the second time. Okay. I'm using a B flat major 7 sharp 11 as a sub for this. Okay. What did I do? That's what I did, I think. No, I did. I forget what I did. That's what the first time. The second time. The first time I did. Second time did. So on the 1 chord here, I'm using a D7 sus4 as a sub for D minor 7. It's very nice. It sounds more open. It doesn't sound like your stock chord that you would play. Just a simple adding the 4th to that chord gives it a different flavor. It helps you break out of these things. But the first thing you do, you take the chords here. So I'll write like E minor 7 flat 5. And then I'll say it comes from, I'm writing it here. Hold on, let me write it down. It comes from the G melodic minor scale. A7 sharp 5 comes from the B flat melodic minor scale. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, right? Wait, turn it that way. There we go. And then I start taking chord substitutions from this G melodic minor and from B flat melodic minor, okay? So once you've analyzed that, well, what do you know about this? Notice about those two scales. They're a minor third apart. So anytime you're playing a minor 2-5, you can borrow scales from the melodic minor scales that are a minor third apart. All you have to do is know what the melodic minor scale is based off the 2 chord. For example, the E minor 7 flat 5. Well, you just go up to the 3rd of that chord and you know what the melodic minor scale is. So for E half diminished, the melodic minor scale is G melodic minor. If I take G melodic minor and go up a minor third to B flat melodic minor, well, that's the scale that A altered comes from. So you can pick any of the chords from that scale and use those as substitutions. I tend to look for the substitutions that are based off the other notes in the chord, like off the 3rd. That's why I use this B flat Lydian augmented as a sub for E half diminished, because it's built off the flat 5. That's why I use this one, G minor 6, because it's built off the 3rd of the E half diminished. Okay? That's why on the A7 altered, I'll go to the 3rd of that and I'll use D flat or C sharp Lydian augmented, or D flat Lydian augmented, which is the 3rd mode of B flat melodic minor, and use that voicing, which is a really great voicing that you wouldn't necessarily think of for that scale. So if you know those melodic minor scales, if you know the harmonic minor scales, if you know your major scales and all the modes, these are where you start getting your chord subs from. D melodic minor you could use as the tonic chord as well, okay? Because you can always make the tonic chord in a minor 2-5, you can always turn it into a minor major 7th. Now, all this stuff is in my book, and I have my book on sale right now. My YouTube transcription thing I put on sale right before this, and my 2 courses from my Beato Academy Music are 25% off only for the next day. They are, the code is, I forget what it is. RB 2018, RB 2018. That's what the code is, the discount code. for my advanced harmonic concepts and my mastering modes of the major scale courses. So they're both 25% off. The Beato book is on sale right now, and my YouTube transcription is on sale right now for I forget how much off, but more than normal. So getting back to the to subbing the one chord too. Okay, so the one chord, D minor 7, right? You can always make it a minor major 7th because you can take that would be from the D melodic minor scale. So I could make that into that sound. That's a D minor major 7, or you could do D minor major 9, which is really a beautiful chord right there. So I can go 2, 5, 1. So I did the 2 chord, I did B flat major 7 sharp 11 to A 7 flat 9 flat 5 to D minor major 9. So I got the major 7th and the 9th in there. So that is coming from D melodic minor. So I can go D minor 7th. Either can be from Aeolian or melodic minor. You could really use any minor sound on it, but so here's my 3 scales here. So this would be D melodic minor. That's why you want to practice things you want to practice these scales for soloing, not only for chording, but for soloing. You want to practice them in particular orders. For example, play G melodic minor. Okay, so G melodic minor here would be there's a scale there, G melodic minor. Then you say, okay, well, if I'm here, then what do I do for altered dominant? Well, you can go here. Right? So here. So here's my first scale. G melodic minor. And then you say, okay, and I just went to D melodic minor. So I played from G melodic minor to A altered dominant, or B flat melodic minor, D melodic minor, or D Aeolian would be D melodic minor. So you always want to be practicing your scales in particular sequences so that you know how to transition from one to the next, so that you're not necessarily just playing from over each chord. You need to know how to flow between these scales, right? I have to know. You got to know that G melodic minor for this EF diminished. You have to know it here, right? You have to know the A altered scale here. So the scale is similar. And there's my D melodic minor. Okay, so I'm going to practice these sequences like this. Melodic minor to the melodic minor, minor third above, to the melodic minor scale, a major third above that. Okay, so it'd be from G melodic minor to B flat melodic minor to D melodic minor. But what you want to do is you don't want to be shifting around the guitar, so you need to pick each particular position on the guitar and know where those modes are. So if I'm going to play G melodic minor down here, then I go to B flat melodic minor here, and then my D melodic minor is going to be So there's all the notes there in that D melodic minor all over the neck. I mean, you really need to know all the modes for all these chords all over the neck. So you need to know all your major scales, all your melodic minor scales, all your harmonic minor scales, all your double harmonic major scale or harmonic major scales, and all your harmonic major scales all the way across the neck, plus your whole step, half step diminished scale, which is your tonic diminished, and your half step, whole step diminished scale, and your augmented scale, and your whole tone scale, and then your pentatonic scales, and then you know everything. That's it. I mean, that's not that much stuff to practice. There's, let's see, 7, 14, 21, 28, 36. There's 36 modes. Let's see, if you take the major scale, melodic minor, harmonic minor, harmonic major, double harmonic major, that's, each of those have 7 notes. What is that, 5 set? That's 35 scales, 35 modes. And then you have your diminished scales. It's 2, whole tone scale, augmented scale, your chromatic scale. You get your bebop scales, but those don't really have modes necessarily. It's very limited when you actually think about it. The promo code is RB2018 for my Beato Music Academy for my 2 video courses. Times 12. Well, on the guitar, it's really it's times 7, but yeah, times 12. Okay, so that's kind of a lot then, right? 35 times 12. If you play piano, there's a lot. But once again, even on the piano, it's like the guitar. It's all the same fingerings, basically, for the most part. If you're playing on a saxophone, you know, once you get the sequence of these fingerings down, it becomes really easy. It does not take that long to do it. But you have to practice your guitars. You got to practice on the guitar in particular, you got to practice these things all over the neck. And the thing that I would always have students do is, I always say, cover the neck in every key. All right, if I take G major, okay, and I say, what is the first available note of G major on the guitar? Well, it's E, actually, is the first available note. And then I go to, what's the next position that I can cover? Then the next position, well, these happen to be modes, right? So those are all different modes, but I played basically an F-sharp Locrian, which contains G Ionian. Then I went up here and I did A Dorian. But I'm thinking of all the notes in G major all over the neck. So I'm just thinking, cover the neck in G major. Know where every single note is. Know it here if you're playing. If you play it on 2 strings, however you're going to play it, you need to know it everywhere, right? If you're going to play it, you got to know it inside each, on all the inner strings, up the neck, and be able to connect them anyway. If I play so that is all G major all over the neck. Well, you do that with every key, and then you do it with G melodic minor. Then you do it with G harmonic minor, and you cover the neck with those. So this is really, it's time-consuming to learn this stuff, but once you have these things down, you have them down for the rest of your life. I did not play, this is no lie, I did not play any melodic minor, harmonic minor, any scales like that, or practice any jazz from 1991 until 2015 when I started my channel. I literally did not, see it, Peter? I literally did not ever practice any of these scales for how many years is that? 1995 to 2015? That's a long time. Because I never played jazz because I was producing rock bands all the time. But when I started to play it again, I remembered all of them. You know why? Because I embedded them correctly in my brain in the first place. So that's what you really need to be able to do. Anyways, what's up, Desmond? So that's it for today. Go back. There's a lot of information that I threw out at you. The Beato book has it all in there, and it's much easier to study it from there. But this is really, this comes from the 10,000 hours. That's super memory, Jari. Jari has a super memory. Follow Jari. He's awesome. That is really, that would be 20 years from 1991 to 2015. That's more than 20 years. Anyways, that's all for tonight. Hey, subscribe to my other channel, Rick Beato Live, where I go on live every night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, for those of you that are awake that late. I'll see you tonight. Beato book is on sale. My courses are on sale both through tomorrow. Really discounted. My courses are, the code is RB2018, 2018. Thank you, everyone. You guys are awesome.